So here we are, time for the Renny Show, and this week's theme is Christmas challenges. So hi Jenny, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you? I'm loving that hat.
Gotta have a bit of Christmas sparkle, Santa asked me, because I'm in NASA jumper, Santa asked me when he came past the house about half an hour ago if I was going to be tracking him on Christmas Eve. Obviously the answer is yes. So yeah. So if you're watching us again, as always, because this is your fortnightly dose of positivity and honesty, and in the vein of honesty, we're actually pre-recording this time, aren't we, Jenny? The night before, so it's actually Tuesday night at the moment, but we'll pretend that it's Wednesday at 12:30, as it should be when this when the stream goes out. But that's because we've both got other engagements tomorrow, so we're getting ourselves a bit organised, aren't we? So that we can be in two places at once, which is all rather clever.
Well, it's the closest we get to being two places at once, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So even though we're not broadcasting 100% live, if you've got any comments, please put them on the broadcast, because we will respond, and we love to keep the conversation going. So Christmas challenges then, Jenny. Obviously this is a time of year where there are many different challenges, so I'll be really interested to see what questions we've chosen for each other about the different types of challenges, because as always, viewers, we don't plan, neither of us knows what the other one's going to ask, so it's complete chance. If hopefully we might cover many different Christmas challenges, but we'll see. So to get started, I thought I'd start us off with something quite light-hearted, because it's been quite relevant over the last few days on things I've seen. So Griswold style outdoor Christmas lighting, good or bad? Yay or nay? Some people find this challenging.
I love this question. I love that film so much. It's so funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't do it. I don't do outdoor lighting myself, personally, because I am not very technical, and so thought of shinning up a ladder and nailing things into walls and hanging things, doing all that stuff is just one step beyond for me. But I love it when other people do it.
Yes.
Obviously, there is something almost in America. My eldest son lives, and his wife and family live in America, and you can go around neighborhoods just driving to see, because amazing, just beyond believable are some of the things that people do. And I have to say, it does make me smile, it does make me laugh. But there is a thing where I also think, how is this helping the planet? And the kind of absolutely profligate use of a resource that is finite. So is there something about, actually, I love outdoor lighting, it's really pretty, it looks lovely, but there is a part of me that thinks, is there, you can go so far, but then also what are we doing with the planet, and are we just pretending it, that global warming and climate change and I say profligate use of resources isn't a thing just for the just for December.
It's a really good point, and I think there's definitely a lot more LED lights around now, isn't there, than traditional bulb lights. For that very reason, I imagine. I mean, certainly all of ours, whether it's indoor or outdoor, it's all LED, which obviously uses a lot less power, which is a good thing, but definitely something to be mindful of, particularly when you see the houses that really are decorated like the Griswolds, and it's all bright and flashing and all over the place. I mean, I'm all for it as well. I think it can look really nice, but I like things that are either still and not flashing, or just twinkle gently, tasteful lighting. That would be my choice, and that's what we've got on our house. We've just got some very plain, tasteful lighting on the front of the house. But yeah, it's definitely something we should all be aware of, the impact that we're having.
One of the things we do in Abingdon other towns I'm sure have something similar, is that people can volunteer and they do a Christmas, like an Advent window, and you can go around the neighbourhood. I don't know if they're doing it this year, but they have done it previously, and you can go around the neighbourhood and you're looking for so each house is chosen to do a particular day, and they can do whatever they like, and that's lovely to walk when you're walking around, whether you're walking with the dog or just walking, to see all the different numbers. That's really nice.
Oh, that's nice. I like the sound of that. Very good. Okay, so your first question then, Jenny, go for it.
Well, my first question, Rach, is for you, is what is your biggest, most challenging challenge at Christmas?
Oh, okay. I'm just getting it typed in so that it can scroll across. My biggest, most challenging challenge at Christmas. Okay, I'll just get that up on the screen so that everyone can see it. Oh, where are we? Show. There we go. Popped up on screen.
And is it the same every year? Or does it change? That's a 1.5 question, isn't it?
Yeah. I think just, and I'm sure this won't be particularly different to many people, but just the general challenge of fitting everything in that you want to do, whether that's writing and sending Christmas cards, sorting presents that you need to post in time for actually getting them in the post. We have a Boxing Day birthday in our house as well, so everything for that has to be sorted before Christmas. So I suppose it's the biggest challenge for me is always that sort of ground rush towards Christmas, where all of a sudden, we're what, a week and a half or so away from Christmas.
2 weeks, I think, aren't we?
2 weeks, is it? And it feels like, how on earth did we get here? And there's still things to do. So I've, the last few years, tried to, I suppose, give myself a break on some of it. Christmas cards have usually been something that doesn't always completely fall by the wayside, but I will pick the few that I really want to send for family that I want to really keep in touch with, and the rest kind of goes by the wayside because you can't do everything. And I think that's the thing, that's the challenge for me and the challenge for many people, I think, during the Christmas season, is wanting to do everything and wanting to do the things that you always have done and wanting to make it special and all those good things, which are all wonderful aspirations. But we also need a dose of realism within that about what we can actually cope with alongside working and, life, because obviously life has to go on as well. School is still in full swing with all sorts of different things going on for the kids. So, life has to carry on. And I think it's very easy to get really swept up in feeling, I must do this, I must do X, Y, and Z, keeping up with the Joneses. Or if they're doing it for their kids, I need to do it for mine. Whoa, slow down. Just let's have a dose of realism about what can actually be coped with. And we don't need anything specific to make Christmas fun and magical. You can make it fun and magical in whichever way you choose. So yeah, I think that's a very, very long-winded way of saying I think the busyness of the run up to Christmas is always a challenge for me, but I'm finding ways to manage it, I think, as we go along. Yeah. What about you?
I think, along with many other people, I think there is also the challenge of remembering people who we have lost around the Christmas time period. And it's, I think it's a. I don't know whether it's. I haven't looked at the statistics. I should probably look at them before I say things like this. But it always feels like just before Christmas, during Christmas, and just after, we lose people, and so that then changes how you feel about Christmas, for the foreseeable, doesn't it?
Definitely. And I think, whatever time of year you've lost that person, when it's the first Christmas without them, you know, whether it's happened in the last couple of weeks or whether it's happened in, say, January or February or anywhere in between, that first Christmas, I think, is a particular challenge. You know, firsts in general are challenging, aren't they? When it comes to loss, and I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it gets that much easier. I think it's that anniversary, and I think particularly when everything is focused on, you know, jingle bells and being jolly and happy, and actually it can be tricky, can't it, to say,
Yes.
well, actually, I'm not feeling particularly jolly or jingly. Today I feel quite, you know, sad or reflective, and I think that can be, you know, those anniversaries of loss, whoever that loss is, or whatever that loss is, can be, you know, tricky to manage.
Definitely. And that does actually lead really nicely onto my next question, actually, because it's around loss, and because I've got something I want to share on that subject. So I will just put the next question up, very, very much related. So how can we support those who are grieving loved ones over the Christmas period? So, you know, what's your sort of top tip, if you like, or suggestion that people might want to think about when it's, you know, we've come to this time of year and they're struggling with that loss?
I think, as always, it's the presence, for me. It's the being there and checking in, because when you're in that grieving space, it can be difficult for you as to reach out to other people. People often say to you, "Oh, if you need anything, give me a ring." Actually, picking up that phone if you need anything is the hardest thing to do. So that, incredibly well-meaning as it is, actually, I think the checking in, popping round, whether it's with a, you know, a mince pie, or whether it's just you, or whether just your time. And actually, it might be that you go for a walk. It might be that you sit and have a chat. It might be that you know, that person might want to talk about the person that they've lost. They might not want to talk about them, but it's actually just having a bit of company. And I say, being the proactive one, you're the one, would be my top tip. Be the one who calls, be the one who checks in. And if they don't answer the first time, or, you know, then go back.
Yeah, and something I've learned from some really wonderful friends who have suffered the most horrific losses is, you know, don't be afraid to mention the person that they're grieving for. You know, it's not a reminder to them. It's not like they've forgotten. You're not reminding them, but that gives them an opportunity to feel heard, and to say that person's name, and, you know, to honor their memory. And if they, as you've said, if they don't want to talk about it, they can very politely say they don't want to talk about it. But it gives them that opportunity, and I think we can be, you know, very British, stiff upper lipped about this kind of thing, and avoid the subject rather than saying the wrong thing. And having spoken to people who have suffered horrific loss, I would now much rather mention it and that be wrong than not mention it at all.
You can't be wrong. You really can't be wrong saying, "I'm sorry." You know, I'm sorry for your. I'm sorry. Either if it's somebody that you were close to too, you can share memories. You know, but so often people don't know what to say, and they're worried about the wrong thing, and they feel they have to do something. It's just saying, I heard, and I'm just checking to see how you are. How's it going? And if they say, actually, it's pants, it's awful, you don't have to go, well, cheer up. You know, you can just acknowledge that this is a hard time of year. We don't have to fix. I think sometimes what puts people off saying anything is that they feel that they have to fix or to cheer them up. Actually, you don't. Sometimes you just have to be with them, and you can, you know, just as simply just be with them, listen. If, you know, going for a walk, doing something together, having a coffee, talking about anything, whatever they want to talk about. Do you do the listening, they do the talking.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd just like to quickly share something that I found on social media earlier today and felt compelled to share already today, because I think it sums it up quite well. So, excuse me. If Christmas is hard, if you've lost someone dear, just look in your heart and you'll know they're still here. The star in the sky, the light falling snow, the robin outside, it seems like they know. If this is a time when you're struggling through, just do what you can, for what matters is you. There's no need to be merry, there's no need to be bright. Just do what you can, it will all be all right. And I just thought that those were beautiful words, because it's, you know, it's saying it's okay to not be okay. And we hear you. You know, this can be a difficult time of year, and we hear you. Let's help. You know,
and we're there. You know, we're there. We can't fix it. We're not trying to fix it. We're just acknowledging the space that you're in. Was it Joe Ashworth by any chance?
Unfortunately, it doesn't say who it was by, which is a real shame. I can't, but it does sound.
It
like
sounds
that,
Joe-ish, doesn't it? Yeah.
I did wonder if it might be.
Yeah, Joe, for those of you who may or may not know about Joe Ashworth, she does write amazing poetry, and her latest book is called Wild Hope, and it's a beautiful book. So check her out if you.
Definitely check her out.
Check her out. Yeah.
It's not Donna Ashworth, isn't it?
Is it Donna? Sorry, I do apologise.
Yes,
Donna. Why was I thinking about Joe? Anyway, Donna Ashworth. I'm sorry, Donna. Right title, wrong first name. I do apologise. And also for those, there is also a very, very good book by Catherine Mannix, who is a palliative care specialist. So if anybody is wanting to have challenging conversations, her book, she's got two books. One is called With the End in Mind, and the other one I think is called Listening. And those are to help people have conversations that may be really helpful and relevant, but not always easy.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, fabulous. Thank you for those recommendations. Right, time for your next question, Jenny.
Oh, well, I think you started to answer this, but I'm going to ask it anyway, because you hinted that you had some coping strategies. So my next question is, how do you handle the madness once it descends? That kind of Christmas, have to do it. Have to do all of it. Have to do it. Oh, I have to do everything.
Yeah. The honest truth for some of that is that sometimes I haven't handled it. You know, I think it's too easy to beat yourself up about not handling the madness. So I think, you know, I feel like I've learned a few things over recent years just about giving yourself some realistic expectations. You know, fair enough. Set out with a plan of what you would like to achieve, but can you actually achieve it? You know, there's lots going on, and I feel for me, things like Elf on the Shelf, which I know is really popular. Lots of people do it. And, you know, the naughty elf makes a right mess every night and, you know, takes lots of time and effort, and people are waking up at 2 a.m. because they forgot to move the elf. And, you know, that can cause, you know, real issues for people. But we have kindness elves instead, and they encourage, you know, it's lovely. There's a whole story book that comes with it, and it's all about spreading kindness and getting the children to do kind things for themselves and for other people. So for me, it still creates some of that Christmas magic, but it's in a much more manageable way. I cannot be doing with all the extra mess and having to think of these ever more inventive ideas. You know, for us, it usually just involves a little handwritten note, you know, something very simple. So yeah, I think it's just that it's that dose of realism of what you can actually cope with, and try not to do everything. I'd say don't don't worry too much about what everybody else is doing, because that's half the problem. I think is people look around and see, oh, they're doing this, this, and this, so that means I need to do that as well. No, it doesn't. Find ways to have the magic of Christmas without the stress.
Yes, that comparisonitis, one of my favorite words.
Thief of joy.
The thief of joy, and definitely raises its annoying head at Christmas, doesn't it? I think we're much more susceptible to comparisonitis at Christmas, and people telling us that they've done all their Christmas shopping, they've wrapped them by the 3rd of December, everything's done, their Christmas cards are all written, everything's done.
That's never going to be me, and I have accepted long ago that that's never going to be me. I'm just not going to be one of those people that's done it all by the 3rd of December, and that's fine. So I make plans accordingly.
Do you know, it's funny, when my children were little, and I was much more in the place of having to do it all, and I mean to ridiculous levels, making my own mincemeat in kind of September, all of that stuff, and I had that, making the Christmas puddings the year before, so all of that stuff, ridiculous. I had more to do then, but I don't know why, but I sort of did it. Whereas now I don't have so much to do. It feels the less I have to do, the more I like it. And those days, the first time I bought a mince pie, bought a box of mince pies, it felt like a heinous crime. Whereas I've now got into the swing of it.
It's fine. If you've got time to make some, wonderful. If you haven't,
lovely. If you haven't, buy some. Exactly. Yeah.
Fantastic. Okay. So I think that'll be down to my last question then. So the last one from me, if I can just put it on the screen. What are your top tips for dealing with conflict at Christmas? Now, this can be anything from, family arguments over a board game, to drunken arguments, anything at all. Any top tips for any of that?
Top tips. Hide in the nearest cupboard. No, that's not a top tip. Although I have tried that, and it does work. Yes, hide in the nearest cupboard, and don't come out until the coast is clear.
Excellent. Don't come out till New Year.
Yeah, seriously, it's that thing about, if you don't have to get involved, then don't. It's the first thing. Kofi Annan, your negotiating skills, and are really useful. So think about win-win, in order that nobody loses face. And to some extent, it depends whether you're dealing with 4 and 5 year olds, or slightly older children, or the really big children who should know better. But I think those things about keeping calm, and not escalating the issue, and understanding what's driving the behavior, which is the thing about where's that behavior coming from, and does there need to be, has it all got a bit, how can you de-escalate, how can you calm it down, what's a win, what's a win-win.
And I think I absolutely agree with that, and I think it's also having a look at the way you feel as well, so being aware of where that other person is coming from, and trying to put yourself in their shoes for a moment, but also checking in with yourself. If you are particularly stressed because you've been trying to do everything in the run up to Christmas and no one's been helping and you've been doing it all on your own, and your stress levels are up here, if that's the case, you're going to be more likely perhaps to respond badly if someone does say something that's perhaps a little out of turn. So I think, checking in with ourselves and doing what we need to be able to find a bit of calm and peace, you know, a little bit of self-care in amongst the madness of trying to achieve all the different things you want to achieve. But, you know, fit in your oxygen mask first to see that you're okay.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah.
And that's kind of what I meant by driving the behavior. It's, you know, we all have fears, whether it's a fear of being rejected, whether it's a fear of being, you know, left out, all of those things. Where if your fear is triggered, then it means that you'll be your response is likely to come from a place of vulnerability rather than strength. So actually, just check that you're not triggered, and if you are, where does it come from, and can you interrupt that you know, disconnect that trigger? And if
absolutely.
you have to hide in a cupboard, so be it.
That's always an option as well. You know, and I like what you said about trying to look for the win-win, you know, trying to find that middle ground, trying to find a resolution that's going to be helpful for everyone.
And, you know, it sounds alcohol never, ever, ever helps in terms of rational thought, does it?
No,
you know,
absolutely not.
If you've had one too many sherries, then maybe, you know, now is not the time to have an in-depth discussion about the quality of the present you have received from whoever it was. Save it for another day. And, you know,
very sensible advice.
We talk, don't we? And I say this to my children, you know, is it kind? Is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? And is it true? And can you save it for another day?
Absolutely. Love that.
Is a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so it's time for your last question.
Oh, I'm really excited about this question. So as we know, this is your opportunity to be monarch. So as this festive season is in full swing, what would be your message to the world, Rachel? If you were the king on Christmas Day, what would your message be?
Right. Oh, I like that. Just typing it in. Oh, that's a really interesting one. Make it come up on the screen. There we go. God, if I was the king on Christmas Day. See, I don't know about you. The temptation is still to say the Queen. I still haven't quite wrapped my head around the fact that we now have a king instead of a queen.
I don't normally write the questions down, but I had to write that one down because it's automatically you say the Queen. And actually, I don't want you to be the king. I want you to be Rachel. You can be Queen Rachel
I'm going to be Queen Rachel
for the purposes of this. You're not being the king. You're being you, but your message is to the world.
Gosh, my message to the world. So if I was the Queen on Christmas Day, 3 p.m. Doing my address from, was it from Buckingham Palace or was it from Scotland? I can never remember. It was from Buckingham Palace, wasn't it? But yes, I think in fairness, the thing that comes to mind first kind of goes back to what we've just talked about being kind. You know, I think if there was more kindness in the world, in the way, if people had more thought before they speak, you know, asking the questions that you are, you know, is it kind? Is it necessary? Is it true? I think those are a diamond. I mean, they would be diamond questions, you know, the brilliance coach. But I think those are really important questions because I think there is so much in the world that is said and done that doesn't seem to involve any thought other than for the person who's doing or saying it. And I think if everyone came at life with just a bit more gratitude and a bit more kindness, I think that would drive more people to be coming from a more centered place rather than to be in this, you know, heightened state of whatever emotion it happens to be, where they're in defense mode and on the attack. And, you know, I think there's too much now, instantaneous. We need everything now about modern life. And I think finding some kind of calm and peace, and going about things a bit more deliberately with kindness and with gratitude, would make a really big difference to a lot of people. Yeah, that's my message. What about you?
That's a great message. No, I'm with you. I think that consideration for others. And I've been reading a lot on social media about the cruelty to bullying in schools, and just people being really unkind.
Yeah.
And it feels that there's somehow apparently that's okay. It's just not okay. So I think that consideration and compassion, and thought before we do something, I think is really really important. And it doesn't have to be big things, does it? We can all
absolutely.
Small acts of kindness. We make a lot of assumptions, good and bad. I was talking earlier today about the work of Maggie's centres in supporting people and their families who have cancer, and that out of the 10 people who were chatting, about half of them had never heard of Maggie's, and I said, "Oh, I kind of assumed that everybody knew about Maggie's," and they were just amazed at the work that they do, and I think that we make assumptions, good or bad. So maybe not making assumptions and sharing what sharing how you can help, sharing how you can support. And I say being kind. We talk a lot about it, don't we? We talk a lot about being kind. I'm not sure that that much has changed. So my invitation to the world would be, could we make some kind of positive things happen? We seem to be really great at making negative things happen. Could we try a little more positivity? I mean, healthy positivity in terms of kindness and
and it's something we can all do. All of us can take responsibility for being a bit kinder in the way that we interact with the world and with other people. So.
I think that's why your kindness elves just really resonated with me, because I thought, gosh, if we're teaching children, and Elf on the Shelf is a bit of fun, I get that, but there is that thing about actually, do we need to be teaching teaching kindness to our children, and in my case, grandchildren. So I'm very much looking forward to that next year. I think she's a bit little this year, but next year definitely. And I think that's a really lovely thing to share, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I have to say, I think I'm thrilled that we did this theme, Jenny. I think it's been really interesting, and we'd love to know what you all think. Hopefully there's been a few things in there that have resonated. So if they have, then do put some comments on, and we will be sure to respond. But that's it for today. You look like you're going to say something, Jenny.
I was going to say, and if there's any, if you have any, we would love to hear your top tips for coping with the madness, coping with conflict. And if you were doing the King's Speech on Christmas Day, what would your message be? I'd love people to give us their answers to those questions, because I think they were really good questions. So that was all I was going to say.
Yeah. Oh, well, I couldn't agree more. We absolutely want to hear what you all think about that. So please do put your answers in the comments. So do join us again in 2 weeks' time, which will be on the 27th, right in the middle of Christmas and New Year. And our theme on that day will be traditions and ways of celebrating the festive season. So that will be quite a nice uplifting one, I would think, talking about traditions and the ways we celebrate. But in the meantime, all that remains is, I think, from both of us, to wish you an absolutely wonderful Christmas, and we hope that you are able to enjoy your festive season without too much conflict, and with plenty of magic. So we will see you all very soon. Thank you, Jenny.
Take care and have a fabulous one. A brilliant Christmas.
Absolutely brilliant Christmas to you all.
Yeah. And we'll see you shortly. Bye.